Welcome into the video, everybody. This is going to be a series that we're doing. This is going to be me, Graham, and then each video we're going to bring in a faction specialist. And the goal with these videos is to kind of do an overview of each of the 7 factions in Warlord that will hopefully provide some good content, whether you're a new player or an old player, or a returning player that's maybe played in the past but hasn't for a while, to kind of give you an overview of how to play each faction, some of the key archetypes of it, some of the warlords to look at, and some of the cards you can expect. So I'm going to welcome my 2 guests into the video now. We have Graham, who's one of the moderators in the Warlord community, and Celtic, who is our faction expert for this video. The faction we're going to be covering is the Nothrog. So welcome in, guys.
Hey, thanks, Wyvern. Glad to be here. My name's Graham. As Wyvern mentioned, I am one of the moderators in the Warlord Discord. I run the monthly tournaments we host there. And I'm happy to introduce our special guest for the Nothrog, who, back in 2021, the Nothrog had not won a single online tournament. They were straight up garbage. And then our special guest took Fatraka, won a tournament with it in November, and then all of 2022, Nothrog won 3/4 of our events. They're now hands down the best faction. He led the Throgessence, so to speak, and became the world champion. So we got Celtic here. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everyone, glad to be here. It has for sure been a fun ride using the green guys. So just glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Graham, Wyvern. Thanks for posting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, anything I can, any questions I can ask, I'm more than happy to do so.
Yeah, so the format we're going to kind of follow for these is kind of a discussion base where we've got some key points to hit on each one, and Graham and I will kind of bounce questions off of Celtic. It will kind of, if we have further questions to his responses, we'll kind of dive into those, but we have Graham and Celtic in an untapped game here, and then I'm spectating just to kind of hover over whatever cards they bring up and want to discuss.
Awesome, yeah. So I know you found tremendous success with Nothrog. But for people, who are interested in Nothrog or trying to decide what faction to play, why would you recommend Nothrog to them?
Versatility. That would be the main thing. Every faction, you can build different types of decks, but the Nothrog, for the most part, have very good and, for the most part, easy to play types of decks. You can go full blitz, be very successful at it. You can go front rank with the fighters that they have, which are very good. For example, Artec. And then you can do sort of a cavalry deck, which has been very successful with some of the guys. So it's versatility, pretty much.
Awesome. And that kind of ties into my next question, I think, which is right now in Ancients, what would you characterize as the strongest Nothrog deck archetypes?
The main one has to be for sure the Karachtuk deck. Yeah, Syrian. That deck is, for anyone who has faced it, it's a pain in the ass to play against. Because you bring down the big guy, Karachtuk, and just looking at his stats, 15 and 7 on the attack, 17 AC, 7 skill, 4 hit points. He inflicts an additional wound with his melee strikes, and the most underrated part about him is all the characters coming into play, coming in a level higher. Just by bringing him in, you disrupt your opponent's plan. He has to play around it, which sometimes they can't, and it'll just win you games by doing nothing, just by being in play. And after that, if you have Syrian in play, you can start swinging at his back ranks. So you don't even have to get him to the front like most decks do, just go to the first rank, start swinging, try to get the opposing warlord to the first rank to kill him. No, you can start swinging to the back with those big crotch quick shots, and you can get to any warlord that's trying to hide. And if they go to the front, then you can swing, get them to the front, and start swinging. So that has to be the strongest Nothrog archetype deck that you
Yeah,
can.
absolutely. You know, if you're matching up against Rush, you just go right past all their dudes. If you're matching up against Combo, you're killing the things they're trying to bring in. If you're matching up against Control, they have to control not only the front rank, but the back rank. So it's just incredible offensive potential. Messes up your opponent, and you're going to have deep, powerful ranks to hold for a long time as well.
Yeah, and not
Um,
just Karachkuk as well, but you also have cards like the Arius and Kovach Tree Razor that see play as well, and items such as the King's Lady you can equip to them to make them hit even heavier than they already are.
are there any other deck archetypes you'd call out besides the Karachkuk?
Well, a perfect example would be the Rush Blitz deck with Fatraka, which there are a lot of options that you have with Blitz decks for Nothrog, because Nothrog have very good and strong level 1 characters. For
Yeah, we'll talk
example,
more about that for sure.
oh, okay. And with Fatraka, his ability will let you, when your characters or your Nothrog are wounded, target melee strikes an additional rank away. That's just devastating, because you can throw all the big guys, try to hold ranks to the first rank, and they'll just swing to the back rank. And doesn't matter how many guys you have in the first rank, they'll reach your Warlord, which is the main thing what made my deck so successful, is just getting to the back rank. Doesn't matter if you have those 3 HP guys in the front. I'll get to your Warlord and just overwhelm you with so many strikes and big strikes that they have.
Yeah, and I see you have Gunda on the
Awesome.
table there. That's one pretty common card, pretty much the staple level 1 starter in a Fotraka deck, because once it suffers a wound, it can survive until end of turn with 1 more hit point, and it gets +5 attack as well. So you're looking at, if you try and attack those Gundas to whittle them away, that's great. You can throw a wound on them, but then they're going to be swinging at +8 at your second rank, so that adds to the potential.
So we've talked about Fatraka, who, for those who might not know, Celtic won the World Championship with Fatraka in 2022. I also have up here Kafka, who is sort of the stereotypical warlord to play Serene Karachkuk with, because he's really good at finding the cards you need to play them. His ability lets you delve 5 cards deep, draw another one, get him out. Are there any other Nothrog warlords right now that you think are really top tier in the meta?
Maybe getting to that top tier, very close to it, would be High Priest Nezril. There we go. He's, after Fatraka, would be probably the best cleric warlord for the Nothrog, and him starting with a level 3 Nothrog fighter in his second rank instead of one of your level 2s gives you a huge advantage. Whether you're blitzing and trying to make as many strikes as possible, just having that guy there starting in your second rank, you can just get him quickly to the first rank, start swinging. Or there are other stuff that a level 3 fighter character could do to help you with whatever your dynamic is for your deck that a level 2s usually can't.
Yeah.
And then as a bonus, he has that ability which will let you heal a guy or inflict a wound on a guy, which is very good. And there we go.
Yeah.
That's the 2 cards that are the most defining on whatever you want to do. If you want to blitz, or if maybe you're playing a Karachkuk deck.
Perfect. The other warlord that I wanted to call out as potentially being quite strong for the Nothrog is Sargok, who's another fighter, not as good at finding the pieces of your combo is Kafka, so it can be a little riskier. But he makes your big boys like Karachguk hit even harder, so that Karachguk so much as looks at the enemy warlord and they will die. So you're sacrificing some of that consistency for a bit more oomph.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sargak, he's probably the best Nothrog um, fighter that's out there. And if you wanna like support fighter,
Mhm.
just because that big bonus that he gives to every guy, and like Wyvern was saying, like if you try to take out the Gundas and you hit them and they react, they gain 5 attack. Now they're +8 in inflicting an additional wound just by being there. So that's just devastating. And
Very
any
powerful indeed.
character with more than 8 attack inflicting an additional wound is like you said, Graham. Karashko inflicts 3 wounds whenever he hits. That's just game over for most decks.
Yeah, it's vicious. So we've talked about clerics, we've talked about fighters. If someone's interested in playing a Nothrog Rogue Warlord, do you have any recommendations?
Nothrog Rogue Warlord. That would probably have to be the assassin guy, Grilt, which in my opinion would be the best option. Um, he has very good stats. He has the assassin trait, which is also great whenever you're playing a rogue. Inflicts an additional wound against stunned characters, and that ability, that ability that he has will let you decide whether you want to stealth in, like most rogue decks want to do, or there are other stuff you can do just by being in your ranks to be able to reach your opponent's warlord. His ability is before targeting a melee strike, if Grilled is in the front rank of your formation, the strike may target an additional rank away, which is very good. Anytime you can have a melee strike target more than the usual one rank, is just you're changing the game. You're changing the whole everything that your opponent was planning for. Now they gotta change uh, and their plan and try to adapt to what you're doing. So anytime you can do that, that's just very good.
Yeah, and that's certainly a theme of the Nothrog. You know, we've got Grill, we've got Fatraka, we've got Serene. These guys just don't care about being in melee for their melee strikes. What about a wizard warlord? Is there one you'd recommend?
Well, there are a couple, but we probably have to go with Teoth. Teoth would be the best blitz wizard warlord for the Nothrog. She is OG and she remains very strong, adding +4 to every range strike roll that she makes and +3 to all of her magic saves. Uh, she has decent stats, low AC, but with the wizard, AC is not really important. What you want to do is just produce as many strikes with the spells as possible with their bonuses and just overwhelm your opponent with so many strikes that they won't be able to do anything. So that would be my favorite choice for a wizard warlord if you want to blitz.
Nice, thanks. Wyvern, is there anything else you want to ask about the warlords in particular?
We discussed the rogue capabilities of Grilt Fenstalker. Teoth is really the only range striker out of this bunch, though. Are there any other options as far as range strikes go for the Nothrog? I know Grilt and Fotraka both have options to kind of reach that second rank, but what if you're looking to kind of just straight up do some range strikes, maybe even combo off and hit 3, 4 ranks away?
The guys that usually are good at doing that are any scout that you can find in any faction. And in the Nodrok's particular case, what's his name? remember.
There's the Nothrog scouts are Balaam Nak, Ezekral, and Gothak. There might be another one I'm forgetting.
Desi. Desi's also good. Sabruk is also a scout.
Sabruk.
Oh, sure, yep.
But if you want to do range strikes, probably the best option would be Balaam Nak. Just having the built-in 2 range strikes. It's a spent order, and you produce a +7 and a +4 range strike. And with all the scout items that you can get into him, increasing the bonuses, targeting an additional rank away, it can be devastating. And also, he has that react whenever you play a Nothrog in the first rank, or a Nothrog moves into the first rank, you can either discard the top card of any deck or the target that you've moved or entered play can perform a +2 range strike, which is good. Anytime you can produce more strikes is pretty good.
Yeah, the capability for 3 range strikes just printed on Balaam Nak himself definitely has high firepower there.
So we've talked about Warlords. The next thing I want to talk about is the starting army for Nothrog. And I see you've got 2 of our staples out there. Now, we've already talked a little bit about Gunda. She's just high offensive potential, strong defense, can't kill her the first turn without investing, more strikes than she's worth. Are there any other level 1s that you would consider starting in a Nothrog starting army?
It would be very hard to argue for anyone else. It'll depend on what you're actually trying to do, or what your Warlord special ability would be.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the only other one that I could think of is if, let's say, you're playing Sabrok, which has that very special ability of anytime one of your Nothrog is targeted with any strike or action, he can spend react, spend back or forward, and cancel the action. So in that case, Gundam is probably not the best option, because once you spend back, if your ranks end up breaking, Gundam's gonna eventually stun, and then she can't react. So she's just a very weak 9 AC 1 hit point character. In that case, someone more sturdier with more AC. In this case, Tisanak, can't remember his name, but
oh yeah, one of our OG Nothrog from Saga of the Storm.
You're never gonna see anyone play him or start him except maybe in Sabrok. Why? Because if you're playing Sabrok, you usually don't care about striking with your characters. It's because you want to hold ranks, because you're trying to build for something, or build your Warlord up. And he has 13 AC and gives 1 AC to your adjacent characters. So it's the best level 1 character with the most AC available out there.
Yeah. Some others that I had in mind, and you can tell me what you think. If you're playing someone who's going to get to the front very quickly, perhaps Artek, who's another Warlord we didn't mention, but very straightforward Nothrog Warlord, comes up and hits.
One of the staples, for sure.
Yeah, with cards like Erg. And then if you really want to kick your aggression up to the next level and target the enemy's second rank right out of the gate, again, a theme among our Nothrog characters here, we've got Lorik. And so a starting army that I've seen is 2 Loriks protected by an Erg, which gives you a good chance of getting off both Lorik strikes into the second rank.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lorik. Like I said, anytime you can target more than the usual 1 rank, you're already working on disrupting your opponent's plan more than he wants to. Because you usually don't expect anyone to go beyond your first rank. They have to go through your first rank and then make your characters fall. But he's just very disruptive. Having him, and even if you pair him up, let's say with the altar, which as a react, you remove a charge and you can give him +4 to any melee strike that a character is performing. It's a +5 that targets 2 ranks away, and the wounds cannot be reduced. So that's just some disruption right there.
Before we move on from level 1s, I also want to talk about another potentially defensive Nothrog, and that's Vaxon. He's a level 1 that has a spend react that can kind of slow your opponent down a good bit. So yeah, level 1 right there, spend react before a Nothrog in this rank dies. Spend a character within 1 rank. So if you're starting 3 Vaxon, they take a swing, they do manage to kill 1. You can spend react with the other 2 and tap down the rest of their front rank. So then, yeah, your whole front rank is spent, but then you have kind of taken, at least they're starting level 1s offline for a little bit. And potentially the next turn, you know, if they have a Warlord that's coming up, they're going to be pretty hesitant if there's a ready Vaxon that could spend down their Warlord.
Yeah, I want to point out that Vaxon works before a Nothrog in this rank dies. So the Vaxon that gets killed can in fact spend to spend. So you don't even have to spend all your Vaxons. Yeah, I think in general, if you're trying to stall and you're not playing Savruk, Vaxon is a very good option. Although ironic because Vaxon is in Savruk's Legion, but you probably wouldn't start Vaxon with Savruk. The downside to Vaxon over someone like Gunda is that you're not going to get to swing back. So you're really sacrificing a lot of your offensive capability with Vaxon as opposed to Gunda.
That is true.
Okay, and then Celtic, you started to talk about Yagagril's altar, which I guess would be a nice segue into our level 2s for the Nothrog starting army. Is there anyone you want to mention or talk about?
Well, we first gotta continue talking about the altar. The most devastating and controversial level 2 starter, probably in Warlord. I mean, if you just look at it, he seems alright. It's just a decent stats. The skill is what it's very high, especially for a table that has no life. I don't know how he's that smart, but yeah, his abilities is order. You kill one of your own characters, add that the character's level in charges to the altar. And anytime you're gonna do a melee strike, you remove a charge, the target gains +4 attack for the strike, and wounds from the strike may not be reduced. This card is just amazing. Anytime you're gonna do a strike, adding 4 attack to the strike, and then making sure your opponent cannot reduce the wound is just amazing. And it's so amazing that it got restricted because of it. One of the main reasons is because of that card, From Dust to Dust. Target a level X character within 3 ranks must succeed with a magic save DC 12 plus a wizard skill, which in this case is 6. For a level 2 character, I mean, for most characters, that's pretty good. There are a lot of Warlords that wish that had 6 skill. And then once
you look at all these level 1s, the highest they have is 1 skill. So to succeed, and you got like, I don't know, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 chance. It's rough.
Yeah, and then once they die, you're able to look for a character of the same level as the character that you killed. Which, in most cases, when you play the altar and you play From Dust to Dust, you're gonna grab this little guy right here that we forgot to mention, Targrab. He has a Daybreak ability, which is he's only able to do it on turn number 1, which is react. After Targrab enters play, if it's the first turn, draw a card. Anytime you can play a character and then draw a card out of them is just very good. It's what you want. Uh, Target will give you a character, will give you a strike, and then give you an additional card. And the downside is his ability can only work in turn one, but if you can look for him, then it makes it more consistent and it makes it a lot better.
Yeah, it's crazy value. You're using one card, you're killing one of theirs, and you're getting two of your own to replace it, including a guaranteed strike. Um, that's about as high value as a two-card combination, one of which starts in play, that you could ask for.
One thing I want to
Absolutely.
note as well on the Yaga Grill's altar is just for any new players watching this video, you might notice that the border is Nothrog green, but also purple as well. It is a multi-faction character, so it's Nothrog and the Chosen, meaning that you can play it in either of those decks without getting any sort of penalty, just in case that was causing any sort of confusion.
Great call out, yeah, and it's an incredibly good card for the Nothrog, and one of the reasons people play them. It's also like one of maybe two reasons why people would play the Chosen. If you're playing the Chosen, chances are it's because you want to start Yaga Girl's Altar and don't want to play Nothrog.
And also, oh, one thing that's very underrated about the altar is, yeah, there's a cost to his ability, which is you got to kill one of your own characters. But in some of the cases, that's good for you because there are moments in Warlord where, depending on what you're trying to do, if you're trying to build up ranks to get big guys out, or you're trying, for example, bring out the Karachkak and the Syrian, that your ranks uh, get a little bit stuck because everyone's spent, everyone's stunned. You can't move them. You got characters in your hand that you want to play, but you don't have any ranks to play them. Well, the altar will help you out, clearing some characters out of the way, so you can put the ones in your hand, and as a bonus, charge him up to be able to do his ability a bunch of times whenever you strike. So that's very underrated, and that's another thing that makes the altar an amazing card.
Definitely one of the best starters in the game, not exclusive to Nothrog, just of all the factions. Elves would sell half their roster to be able to start Yaga Girl's Altar. Are there any other level 2s that you want to draw attention to?
Going back to being able to target anything above a single rank, let's go with Timberwand, which has been, for the most part, um, the partner of the altar now that he's restricted. Because Timberwand is a wizard. It doesn't have that much skill as the altar, but 3 skill is decent. So, and she can perform any wizard actions that you might have, and has the ability. After Timberwand performs an action that moves her, so you can move her to the front, to the side, just within the same rank, or even to the back rank if you want. You perform a +2 range strike, which in most cases, she's going to start in rank 2. You can move her forward and do a +2 range strike at the second rank. If you start her, and then let's say you started a Lorik, that's a lot of strikes coming in at the opponent's second rank, which probably means that you're going to break them.
And one thing I really like about Temobam, after you've moved them up, they're going to be spent in the front rank, which means if you've got other ready characters, they're not going to be like a prime target, but your opponent still has to worry about them because there are a lot of good level 2 wizard actions that perform ranged strikes, even when you're spent. So your opponent has to really either like gamble that you don't have any, or spend a strike on someone who's already spent, which I think is, a good tempo play.
Exactly. Yes, completely agree on that.
And then one other level 2 I wanted to mention is Python, our Nothrog druid, who has the ability to inflict a wound on one of your characters to remove a wound from a different Nothrog, which you can use, synergize as well with Gunda. You can juggle wounds from Gunda to Gunda, so you can get multiple big Gundas and only lose one. Or, offload a wound from a wounded Gunda to another wounded Gunda, so only one Gunda dies instead of two. And also has the ability to play Tree Walk, which is another kind of staple Nothrog big boy card, which lets you get your gigantic Nothrogs like Karachkuk up to the front and swinging as soon as they come out. So then the last thing before we wrap up, we've talked about Warlords, we've talked about the starting army. Just if there are any other Nothrog characters that you think people should pay particular attention to when they're building their decks.
Oh yeah. One of the guys that comes to mind, Satush.
Yeah,
Level
let's get
4
him out.
character. Yeah. Level 4 character. Decent stats, only 1 hit point. But the main thing is, you get him into play. He's a level 4 character fighter that can also use any other fighter actions you might have out there that you might need to use. And just by himself. Just play him, spend them, draw a card. You can do that every turn, which will help you get the cards from your deck quicker, get whatever combo or whatever characters you might need out there faster. And he is also one of the staple characters of the faction.
Yeah. The only other thing I'd say about Sithusk is it's ironic you see him playing on a table in this because he commonly gets eaten by the Nothrog's real famous table, the altar. So, you get him out, you draw a card, you turn him into 4+4 swings that cancel healing. That's great value. While you're thinking, another level 4 that's quite common is Nothrog, who has just incredible stats for a cleric. 8/4 attack, and on the first turn, he makes all of your Nothrog do an additional wound with melee strikes. So your opponent's relying on Brine Fiends, sucks, you're dead if Nothrog hits the field. So very scary card, and even, still can enable multi-wounding after the first turn.
Absolutely. Any blitz deck that it's focused on doing melee strikes, you gotta have 3 copies of him in your deck. It's just, if you draw him turn 1, it'll give you a big advantage. So, very good card.
Yeah, I've won games where I've lost my entire starting army, but I lucked into getting 2 Nothogs, and I just ping the Warlord with an errant melee strike, and they instantly die, and I win the game. He's so nasty.
Yeah, I've seen that happen, and I've had that happen a few times actually. It's just like you're getting demolished, but you have the 2 Namtoks in play, and then let's say you have the 1 Gunda, or you have 1 level 1 character in your hand, everyone's spent, and then you put them into play, you swing and you roll a 16, and then you win. It's very good. It's very good.
Our final Nothrog in the level 4 power trifecta is the Nothrog version of Jackals of Morn, Feral.
Feral is just amazing. I mean, everyone plays Jackals of Morn, any blitz deck, and even some other non-blitz decks play him. Why? Because the turn that you put him into play, you can move him to the front, and he can have 2 very good swings that same turn. So Feral is very similar. Low AC, 2 hit points, but very good attack. A 5/5. If you play him in turn 1, as soon as you play him, you can react, move him forward 3 ranks, and the downside is he dies at the end of the turn. But the damage he can actually do before dying is just devastating. He can be in the front, just 2 normal +5s. If you end up drawing him and Nothrog, which we just talked about, that's 2 +5s doing an additional wound. And also, he'll die at the end of the turn. But if you're playing him, more than likely you have the altar, which is 4 charges for the altar, which is amazing, instead of just letting him die. So it's a win-win situation. And even if you don't get him turn one, his consolation ability for you, if you draw him in turn two or after that, is you put him into play, he reacts, you target another Nothrog in play that you have that has not gained any permanent HP. And you give him a 1 HP, and then Feral gets an HP. So he becomes a 3 HP character, and you can give your Warlord or whoever you want an extra HP, which is huge in any given game. So, yep, he is one of the top cards as well.
And then the last one I have called out is Feral's little brother, Angry Cow in Training, Sanuris.
Little big guy. He's just Sanuris. Sanuris has won me so many games.
Yeah, I know
just
you have crushed me in the finals of tournaments with Sanuris.
Yeah, you look at him and it's just, oh, okay. One level 1 character, 2 attack, 9 AC, 1 hit point, 1 skill. But he inflicts a number of wounds whenever he strikes with melee strikes equal to his level. And anytime he performs a melee strike that killed an equal or higher level, can react and permanently gain 1 level, 3 attack, and HP. Which is huge. You just swing at a level 1 character, you kill him. Next time you swing, you have +5 attack, and you do an additional wound when you strike. And he has 2 hit points. Now, if you pair him up with a little item called Destroyer's Armor, what does Destroyer's Armor do? The character that has the Destroyer's Armor equipped, if he only has Destroyer's Armor is an artificer set item. If you only have one item, so let's say you just have the armor equipped, it'll change the stats on your character to +3, 13 AC, 4 skill, 1 HP, and make him a level 3 character. Why is that important? Sanuris does a number of wounds equal to his level. So just by putting that armor in, that's 3 wounds a pop. He has 2 strikes now, and any bonuses he gains with his react are still applied after his stats have changed. So this guy can destroy any level 5, 3 HP characters that might be coming your way with a single strike. He's just a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I can't count the number of games I've seen, level 4 Sanurises swinging +9/+9 for 4 wounds apiece. It's almost impossible to beat. I think there's no scarier Warlord level 1 combination in the game than Fatraka Sanuris. Because if you swing at Sanuris, Fatraka can save him, and then Sanuris is going to be swinging at your second rank, and he's going to save himself because he'll gain the hit point when he kills you. So you have to, it's an incredibly potent combination that you have to handle with incredible care.
And worth noting on Sanuris, the Sanuris Destroyer's Armor combo is one of the staples in Celtic's Fatraka deck that did end up winning him the championship. So we're not just talking this card up. It has devastated tournaments.
Oh, yeah. Are there any other Nothrogs that you want to mention, Celtic?
I know we mentioned him, but we don't have him out there. Just because he needs to be mentioned. We talked about Karachkuk, but he has a twin brother, which is almost as powerful as him. The Retarius, which is pretty much the same card. It's almost the same stats, except he has 2 AC less and 1 less hit point. And his ability changes. His ability of having all characters enter an additional rank away is only applied if he's in the front rank and he is not stunned. Which was, Retarius is the nerfed, quote-unquote, Cornchuck. But the amazing thing is, Karachkuk is unique and so is Retarius, but they're not the same card. So you can have both in your deck, and that's just amazing.
Yeah. If the Retarius was named Karachkuk, it would be a nerf. As it is, it's a buff. Because you can definitely have both of those guys out, making things super inconvenient. I've seen Uber players playing against Karachkuk, the Retarius. They have a Temple of Lore out in play. They're playing like Darkness into rank 4 or something insane like that. It gets wild.
And other than that, I mean, there are a bunch of good Nothrog cards, but I would say we pretty much gone through all the staple cards. Maybe I'm missing one, but for the most part, I think that's it.
Yeah, if we are missing one, get in the comments, yell at us, tell us we're fools, challenge Celtic to a 1v1.
Huh.
See if you can go out and find some of your own OP Nothrog cards. Certainly tremendously fun faction to play. Hope you've gotten you a little bit excited to give them a try. Enjoy Warlord. And Wyvern, if you want to wrap it up.
Absolutely, yeah. So the goal of this video is kind of to highlight some of the staples in Nothrog. As Celtic mentioned at the start of the video, they're a very versatile faction. So there are lots more cards that we may have mentioned in passing or didn't even talk about at all that can not only see play but be very good, potentially even game winners in the right circumstance. Like Graham said, please be sure to leave those in the comments below if there are Nothrog characters that you enjoy playing, or maybe you found after this video that you want to let us know about. I'd like to thank Graham for coming on and moderating this discussion, and Celtic for coming on and being our Nothrog expert. Definitely have lots of wins under your belt with them, and thanks for sharing your expertise.
Of course. Glad to be here and glad to be able to add a grain of knowledge into the world of Warlord. Just anyone who's watching this that's not actually playing Warlord now or hasn't played in a long time, give it a shot. Give it a shot. You'll have a lot of fun, and we have a great community. So I'm sure you won't regret it.
Absolutely. Warlord, an amazing and active community, and looking forward to welcoming new players. We hope this video is able to be of help to you in some way or another. Like I said at the beginning, whether you're a returning player or a new player or just somebody looking to up your game on the Nothrog, this is kind of designed to be for everybody. So that's going to go ahead and wrap things up, but be sure to stay tuned. We're going to come out with some more of these videos. The goal is to do one for every faction, and we'll have a different expert on each video. And Graham and I will kind of interview them and talk about how to play each of the remaining 6 factions.